The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Hello and welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You're with Gowri. Today on a Wednesday morning for our Durian Heat, we will be discussing about local music scene in Malaysia, and it's something that we have discussed a lot over the few months, and also had a lot of guests come in talk about it. But today we will go a little bit more in depth, and I think I have just the right person for that in the studio with me, and that would be Brian Gomez. Hello. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us at
thanks
the
for having
studio
me
today. So Brian, you are the co-founder of Merdekarya, and I think Merdekarya itself needs no introduction.
Maybe it does.
It's talked about among all the local musicians, which is a very good sign, and I think that's what you were going for as well. But before that, maybe a little introduction to yourself.
Sure. My name is Brian Gomez, and I co-own Merdekarya with my wife and partner Melanie. And what Merdekarya essentially is that it's an independent art space, primarily for music, but also for poetry, art, writers. As long as you have any arts discipline, Merdekarya is likely a place that can host you. And I think the difference between us and many other venues is that we are 100% local arts venue. So we cater primarily to independent Malaysian original music arts and things like that. So even if, for example, the music on our playlist when you enter Merdekarya, it's not just the live music that's local, it's everything that's local. And so that is what Merdekarya essentially is. What we have typically on any given day is from Tuesday to Saturday, there will be live music, live Malaysian music.
Tuesday to Saturday?
Saturday, every night, yes. Anything between 2 to 5 acts, because we have an open mic prior to the featured act who plays for 1 hour. And that essentially is what Merdekarya is. In addition to that, I also am a musician. I play every Friday night at Merdekarya. And,
so that would be Brian Gomez and the Have-Nots.
And the Have-Nots, yeah, that's my band. And we play, we are a rock band, but we sing mainly about issues that affect Malaysians. I wouldn't call them political issues, because a lot of times politicians hijack issues and then call them political issues. But they're the issues that
relate to people.
That relate to people. That maybe others don't voice out so much about in the music industry, and we try to give voice to some of those issues, but in a fun way. So it's not all doom and gloom if you come to Merdekarya on a Friday night. It's you're likely going to enjoy yourself and hopefully sing along. And that's Brian Gomez and the Have-Nots. And I also I hate to live on past glories, because I really should be writing another book. But
one book
I have
already.
a book. I had a novel about released about 10 years ago called Devil's Place. It was quite well received in Malaysia. It's sort of like a cult favorite. I'm supposed to be working on the second one, but I keep telling people that, but I have no idea when that's going to happen.
So you were actually working in an advertising agency, and you had a lot of jobs before that.
I still do. Yeah, I still have a lot of jobs. Yeah, because independent art doesn't sustain itself. So I still have a lot of jobs. But I was working. I was the partner and creative director of an ad agency. And when I was 30, and that was 10 years ago, I quit my job and I decided I wanted to try something else. And that something else happened to be the novel at the time. So I quit my job, went traveling for a year, and wrote Devil's Place, my novel. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you come up with the idea for Merdekarya? What prompted you to do it?
I think if Melanie and I sit down and talk about it, we probably won't be able to pinpoint like an exact.
Just one particular
reason. It was. We wanted to do. So I was playing live at bars and stuff, and because a lot of my songs are politically or social, it spooks people.
Okay.
Because people get spooked easily here, and it's like, oh, well, you can't sing that kind of song.
You can't say
because,
those things.
Yeah, we'll lose our license and this and that and everything. And I thought, well, you know what? If we had a space that was our own space, because you can't blame people. People are spooked.
Oh yeah.
And they've
and
invested.
They want to make a living.
Yeah, they've invested their money in, sometimes their life savings in opening a venue, and so you can't really say, oh no, you coward or whatever.
Right.
But we thought if we had a space and we are responsible for what we say, and we can make those decisions, and so we thought. We knew a lot of the people in the independent music industry as well, and we thought, okay, well, if there was this place where that was catered solely to local independent art, and it was a censorship-free place, where freedom of speech is absolute, could it happen, and we were still like sort of just toying with the idea and going around and looking for places, and rental is ridiculous everywhere. And one day when we were driving home, we saw this for rent sign, and we saw the space, and immediately we knew, well, this is the place that we're going to do it. And so we put the deposit, and we had no idea what we're doing, because as we put the deposit, we confirmed everything, and we said, okay, well, this is where Merdekarya is going to be, and we still had no idea what Merdekarya was going to be. And so we've just, over the last 2 years, we've played it by ear and tried to find a formula that works, not just for us, but for the musicians and the performers as well, and affordable enough for the consumer, because a lot of times you find venues where it's for the elite. And so you've got your Bangsa crowd, and they can afford it, but you don't have many venues that are more affordable to people who would likely want to go out and listen to original music. Because what we feel is that a lot of people who actually want to listen to independent music are people who can't afford independent music, and so it has to work for all parties, for the venue, for the musician, and the consumer as well. And that's a formula that we're trying to work on. It's a tough proposition, because these three things are on face value mutually exclusive propositions. But yeah, we keep trying and seeing whether it works or not.
So you were like just this fearless guy who wanted to create the space for people where there's no censorship. So aren't you afraid that, someone might say something or sing about something that might cause some trouble?
I think that's the risk that we have to take, because I myself sing about issues that some people are uncomfortable with, like religion and race and stuff like that. And we've had people come up to you and say, oh, you can't sing these kinds of songs, and
really?
they're saying, how can you do this and things like that. And we tell them that, listen, this is a place where if you can't accept an opposing point of view, then perhaps you should go to Changkat or wherever else it is that you people go. But there are people who can't accept that there is an opposing point of view. But we're prepared for the day where someone comes and there is a police report or something like that. But by and large, I think most people lyrically safe. There are a few, of course, that push the envelope a little bit, but by and large, I think it's okay.
And what about the name Merdekarya itself? Did you come up with that, or was it?
I don't know how these things happen. But it seemed to make sense at the time. Just independent art and Merdeka and Karya seemed to be the two words that kept popping up, and so Merdekarya came about. And as you can imagine, when we started, nobody pronounced it correctly. It's like,
I'd imagine so.
Merdekarya, then, but people pronounce it correctly now, so that's all good then.
Okay, so we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk more about Merdekarya and the local music scene.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
musician, writer, journalist, copywriter, and gig organizer. Brian Gomez is perhaps he's someone who can be called a jack of all trades. He started as a reporter for the New Straits Times in 1990s, and he sort of traded his pen and paper for a job in an advertising agency before quitting in 2005 to go for traveling. Then, after he's returned, he decided to pursue his first love and passion in music, and started performing in pubs and opening mic sessions throughout Kuala Lumpur and Selangor. Just now you have listened to his song called The Have Not, and we'll be playing more songs later on, but we'll be back to the interview with Brian Gomez at the Durian Heat, so stay tuned.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You're still with Gowri here on our Durian Heat for this Wednesday morning, and I have Brian Gomez with me, who is also known as the guardian angel of the local music scene in Malaysia.
Well, not exactly known as that. It's like one newspaper headline that said
it's
I was.
It's pretty memorable though.
It is, yeah, but no, I'm no guardian angel.
So speaking of Merdekarya, I think from what I read, one of the main reasons why you provided the space was because you wanted to provide a platform for original content, and most of the time in bars or pubs, people prefer covers of popular music, and you wanted to support original music as well.
No, we one of the things that we are completely against is the idea of supporting original music. Also, yes, we provide a platform, but I think we have to do it in a realistic way. It's not for altruistic reasons. We are doing it because we want to find a formula that works for everybody, where music is sustainable for all parties, for the venue and for the musicians. Again, coming back to the idea of supporting local music, I think the average Malaysian is bombarded with support local this, support local that, and it's going to get to a point where people are saying, okay, well, I have $20 in my pocket and I got to support something local. Do I buy a Brian Gomez CD or do I buy a Durian? The Durian's probably going to win, right? It's like support local fruits, support local music. Well, there is no reason why anyone should support local music. If you read a lot of these interviews and people say, oh, well, support local music, and if you ask them why, they won't be able to tell you. They'll say, well, because local, you Malaysian, I'm Malaysian, you support, there's no...
so that's not what we're trying to go for here.
It's not what we're trying to go for, and I think what we need, the narrative needs to be, seek out local music, listen to local music, and the reason why people should do that is because these are the stories that are close to you. These are the stories written by your neighbors, by your classmates, your former classmates, the stories that we come up with in our art are the stories of your streets, of your neighborhood, of your land. And there is a chance that if you go out and seek and listen to these stories and this music, that you will find something that connects to you more than something that was produced in America or in the UK or something. So the problem, of course, is that we are not visible. Our art is not visible as the top 40 hits in America. And so people just have this perception that local music isn't good because it's not on the radio. You don't listen to it during drive time. But here's a news flash, man. You live in a country where legislation prohibits freedom of speech. So if someone wanted to set up a radio station that played local music, the legislation in this country would be very prohibitive to that person, or any broadcast medium. So you're not going to hear the best local music on the radio. If you want to hear it, you've got to go out and look for it. And one of the places where you can find it will be Merdekarya. There are other places as well, Rumah Api and Finders and other places. But like I said, this is something that you have to go out and look for, and when you find it, you may very well find a lot of art that really speaks to you.
Right.
Because people go like on holiday, they go to like Thailand or something like that, and they come back with this great big Buddha poster.
Yeah.
And I said, why do you buy a Buddha poster? Oh, because I went to Thailand. So it's nothing. People buy art that doesn't speak to them. People will go to like Bali and buy that CD which they heard when they went to the spa or something. That ambient music and stuff like that. Well, because I went to Bali, so I bought this thing. But it's not really art that connects to you. But if you go out to your city, to venues in your city, you may very well find art that connects to you even more, simply because this is the art, these are the stories of your land.
So when it comes to original content, so you are very particular about what they are about as well.
No, we don't tell anyone to sing about or do anything that isn't what they want to do. So we do not interfere with the content at all, and nor do we censor. So whatever you find at Merdekarya is going to be what that performer, what that musician wants to say. Yeah.
And going back to what you said about seeking out local music, I think it's very interesting because there is a perception, like you were saying, that local music is probably not good enough, which is why I'm not hearing it on the radio. But that is like a vicious cycle. You probably don't hear it on the radio because no one really cares.
No, it is. That's exactly true. And here's the thing. If you compare, for example, the current top 40 hit with, say, a song that's currently playing at Merdekarya, there's a good chance the song that's currently playing at Merdekarya is way better than what you're going to hear as the number one song. But the number one song is being played over and over and over and over again everywhere in the world. And so you're probably going to have that perception because you've heard it over and over again that this song is way better. And what happens with local music is that the way people are fighting for it is they're saying, oh well, there should be a quota for local music for radio stations, and so the radio station doesn't really want to play it, and they'll play it like once, and then they'll turn around and say, hey, look, nobody's actually listening to it, and then they'll go back and say, we need to earn a living and we need to play what our customers want to listen to. Fair enough. I'm against quotas for local music on radio stations. I think as a musician, I don't want people coming and telling me what I should sing about. Similarly, I don't feel I have a right to tell a radio station owner what they should play. It's your radio station, you do what you want with it. It's my music, I'll do what I want with it. But here's the problem again. The problem isn't the existing avenues. The problem is legislation that keeps new avenues from coming up. For example, if someone was passionate about local music and wanted to set up their own radio station dedicated to local music, legislation in this country is so prohibitive that just financially it's not going to happen for that person, because that person's going to have to take a risk. It's very likely that he's going to fail for many years before even the chance of success of such a radio station would happen. But that's the thing. It's prohibitive to people who want to take that chance, who are actually passionate about wanting to get local music out there, but can't do it because these are the laws that you have. These are the broadcasting laws that you have, and they are ridiculous broadcasting laws. I mean, if you want, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just the deposit alone, non-refundable deposit for setting up a radio station is 40,000. If I'm not mistaken, and it's a non-refundable. So that's you send in your borang, you give 40,000, and if they say no, you can't, you won't see. Who's got that kind of money? Can you imagine someone who wants to set up a radio station, just playing local music and maybe talk as well about issues, stuff like that, having 40,000 to just put in, and with the chance that you're not going to get it back? Which investor is going to invest in such a station? So that's not going to happen. And so the problem with local art is, we have a lot of people saying things like, okay, well, the government should do more, and we should have radio station quotas, and we should have all these grants and all this funding and stuff like that. But I think that if you're in the local music scene or in the local art scene, you should realize what is the one element that is keeping you down, and that thing is legislation. It's laws that prohibit freedom of speech, laws that govern what we can say on air or in print, laws that prohibit you from even starting up something where you would be able to freely express yourself. And the education system as well, because first of all, the arts are way on the back burner, and you've got your science stream and all that. But it's not only that; it's an education system that really does not care about art at all. I mean, if you look at your kelas seni lukis when you're in school, it's always like lukiskan poster anti dadah or something, and everybody drew like a tengkorak and the blood-stained fonts with blood dripping out of the word dadah,
and like the no parking sign.
It's like suasana kampung di hari raya. How about suasana kampung sewaktu Malaysia diserang zombie? Kids would draw that. You have to get kids to be interested in that, and if you look at art or even music for the matter, I mean, that's where you're going to get your first audience, your first live audience. If you're good at art, your classroom is your first art gallery show. If you're good in music, your classmates are the first people who should be hearing what you're going to write. But that doesn't happen, of course, because everybody thinks everybody else can just draw good dada posters and write songs about Sangkanchel and Boya. So it's all these different things that are prohibitive towards local musicians actually getting their music out there, and don't even talk about the licensing problems for venues that actually want to host local music. That's a whole other problem, and I wish more musicians would actually use the talents that they have to actually speak out against this, because these are things that directly affect you, affect your industry, if you choose to be a musician. And the good thing about being a musician and being a songwriter is that among all the arts disciplines, you are probably the most accessible discipline of art. Music is the most accessible among all arts disciplines. So if more musicians spoke out against laws that govern freedom of speech and prohibit freedom of expression, I think more people might listen.
But what are the channels that are available for them to speak up? How do you propose they do it?
Well, all the channels are out there. I think there's the social media, there's online radio, there's Durian ASEAN. There is the channels are out there, and they're live venues where I'm not proposing that someone go out and say something and millions of people are going to listen to your sermon on the mount or something like that. No, and it's just bit by bit, and using whatever channels that you have, because that's what activists do, and that's how we've actually gotten to a point where we are right now, where there is at least some awareness about the issues that plague this country, because if you look at the 80s and stuff like that, there was no such thing. You had the NST and the Star, and that was it, and what they told you was the truth.
Okay, so I just want to go back to what you said about the quota system. I think I totally agree with you. It sounds a bit condescending when people say, oh, they should be given the quota, because that sounds like they're not good enough, but you just want to put it there because it's local music. And that also probably doesn't reflect well for the bands and also to the people. Like, okay, they're just playing this because it's local music, like you were saying. I'm just supporting you because you're local, and you don't want that. You're supporting them because they're good and because you like what they're playing and because you can relate to their
and
content.
because you want to be the kind of radio station that would play local music. I think the other thing is that if you force a quota system on people who don't want to do it, then they're just gonna say, I just play whatever. It's just to cukup syarat, and that's about it. So it's not really doing anything for anybody.
Okay, so we are going to take another short break. When we come back, we will talk more about the way forward in the local music scene.
Sure.
Update your general knowledge with Durian ASEAN. So we'll be having question and A session. So first question. Name the only supersonic cruise missile of India. BrahMos. Which day of is powerful typhoon that lashed Japan's southern Okinawa island on 9th August, forcing over 500,000 people to seek shelter? Powerful typhoon that lashed Japan's southern Okinawa island on 8th July is celebrated as the National Day of Singapore. It's 9th August. So that was the 3 short questions that you dealt with Durian ASEAN to update your general knowledge. So we will play one more song from Brian Gomez, and the song is called Rokong Sebatang. So stay tuned because we'll continue the interview with Brian Gomez at Durian Heat.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Durian ASEAN. This is Gowri, and I have Brian Gomez here with me discussing about the way forward in the local music scene. So Brian, I like what you said earlier about don't support local music, seek out local music. But I'm just wondering, if the awareness itself is not there, people are generally not aware about the number of local bands that we have and the amount of music, the amount of talent. How are they able to seek out these musicians and this good music?
I think the responsibility here lies with local musicians themselves. And one of the things that we're trying to do with Merdekarya is we're working on a business model that hopefully, like I said earlier on, works for the venue, for the musicians, and is affordable to the consumer. And if that works, what we will do is we'll release the business model for free online at the end of the year, and musicians or prospective venue owners can look at it and say, well, this is something that would work if I wanted to host local music, or a musician could take that and approach their local bar, local coffee joint and say, here's something that would work where your investment is going to be next to nothing, but it's something that works for you and me and the consumer as well. So what we need to do here, I think the responsibility of the music industry is to create visibility, and creating visibility, you can't do it on Facebook because the people who are sharing your Facebook video are other musicians.
That's true.
The people who, so it's just the same people listening to the same songs, going and supporting the same bands over and over and over again. There's about 500 people. Today you see them at Merdekarya. Tomorrow you see them at Art in the Park. Next day in KL Pack. They're all just going around and round and round in circles. They consist mainly of people within the art industry themselves. So it's not doing anything for us. What we need to do is to be visible. And so the template that Merdekarya is working on right now, the reason why we want to give it out at the end of the year is because we feel that one venue cannot make a difference for musicians. But if there were 30 venues in the Klang Valley, that would create visibility. And so if we're trying to get to a point where independent music is there at your neighborhood bar, at your local, so at any given time there are like 30-40 venues in the Klang Valley, and with visibility, demand grows. Because right now, for all intents and purposes, there's no demand for local music at all. And if there's no demand, then you can't really sit back and say, well, I want to be paid $500 for my gig, despite the fact that no one actually wants to listen to me. So creating visibility is, I think, the first stage. And from that visibility, what we want to do is create demand. And once demand is there, then the laws of supply and demand take effect. Then you can go to a bar and say, well, hang on, people want what I do, and therefore there is a certain price that I'm willing to do it for. That's not happening now, and that's what has to happen. Of course, the other channels like Facebook and SoundCloud and Twitter and all that take effect as well. But I think we need to figure out how to.
You don't sound very convinced about that.
I'm not convinced about that, because you can see whenever you release something, the people who like it and the people who share it are very likely going to be people from within the industry.
So you want to break out of that?
Yeah, we need to break out of that. And I think that's going to happen by going back to basics. If you look at countries where music is popular, they all grew organically. They grew out of neighborhood bars and speakeasies and stuff like that. We've never had that. And we went from nothing to funding and festivals. And, so if you go to a local music, for a music festival, you'll see like everyone's there for the foreign band, and while the local band is playing, everybody's jumping on a trampoline or something. It's like, so I think that's what we need to do. We need to get back to basics. We need to put ourselves out there, be visible, create demand, and then work on things, on getting things right from there.
But there are a lot of venues, if I'm not mistaken. We have Tom, Dick and Harry's, a few places in Publica, and all these places, they have local bands playing there probably every week. But why is that still not enough, not creating that?
I think what you're looking at is local original music. And then there are many places that host cover bands. But if you're looking at people who are playing original music, the current formats don't really work for me. Simply because if you look at the way most people do it is that the band plays for about 20 minutes or half an hour or so, which doesn't give you enough time to actually get to know the musician. And I'm not so much talking about places that are more in shopping malls and stuff like that. I'm talking about activating neighborhoods. Getting neighborhood bars and the people from within the neighborhood to go and say, hey, here's somewhere we can hang out for a while and listen to some good local tunes, and then the musicians who play in these 30-40 places can actually switch around, and therefore just say you play in 2 places this month, next month you switch to another 2 places and you do the whole circuit, and that could, well, theoretically at least, be a sustainable living for a musician, because it would at least give you a base income that you can live off, and then after that the festivals and the grants and the funding comes into play as a bonus.
Do you think that the type of music plays a factor as well? Like if there is an acoustic band and probably like a metal band, and does that affect whether or not they get to play at a particular venue?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think like the guys, the punk guys and the metal guys, they're not going to get the same opportunities as the singer-songwriter. But having said that, I think most of them know that going in. They know that there will be certain venues that you can play at, there's certain venues that you probably not going to play at. But the singer-songwriters know that as well. I mean, they know that the places where I'm going to play my own music, and there are places where, most places where I just won't be able to do that. But I think what's with this whole idea of gaining visibility, if just simply the idea of local songwriters, of local musicians, are placed in the minds, are seated in the minds of just the general population, people are going to say, hey, this person is local, and this person is writing, really good songs. And if it's really not acoustic, singer-songwriter stuff, that it's not your cup of tea, you're probably going to seek out the other bands. It's going to be a stepping stone and say, well, I wonder who else, what other local bands are out there, and you're probably going to find, the trail, and it'll get you to Uma Api or wherever your choice of genre of music will be hosted. So that simple idea that local musicians are writing their own stuff and they're out there somewhere, that simple seed in the minds of the population will, I think, get them to seek out the genres of music.
What about at Merdekarya? Will they be able to get the whole spectrum of music from acoustic to rock to metal?
We do. In the beginning, we didn't have drums and stuff like that. We were a fully acoustic venue, because of the proximity to residential areas. But we do have drums now, but we need to control the levels so that the sound doesn't leak out and stuff like that. So anything too heavy we can't host. But other than that, I mean, we've had probably every other genre.
So going back to your songs, you were saying, and I've also watched you perform at the ASEAN People's Forum. You had a couple of really interesting songs. So I just want to ask you, what are some of the local issues that you are personally passionate about?
I think the main thing that we want to bring about, because I feel that there's one thing where if we can solve, everything else sort of just falls into place, and that is freedom of speech. Because you can have two people who disagree about an issue, or you can have a religious conflict, but if you have absolute freedom of speech, then you have the arguments that people can be exposed to, the pros and the cons and the different perspectives of any given issue, and people can go out and choose to be exposed to whatever arguments you want them to be exposed to. So I think everything falls into place from there, from that whole freedom of speech. And so that's what we, not so much my music just talks about issues in general, but that's what I think Merdekarya is, because we've hosted stuff from NGOs. We've had forums for transsexuals and their rights and stuff like that. We've hosted Amnesty in Bersih and a few other NGOs, but we would totally host Perkasa as well. We would hate doing it, but if you're going to say, if you're going to say that you're a proponent of freedom of speech, then it's got to be the speech that you disagree with as well. We'll probably charge Perkasa more. There'll be like a surcharge or something, and hopefully they'll say, oh no, it's too expensive. But that's what I'm trying to say. I think freedom of speech is what, especially as musicians, as artists, is something that we really believe in, and really believe that should happen in order for public discourse to happen about all the various other issues. If you're just saying that, well, my view is right and I'm going to shut up everybody else, then people aren't exposed to the opposing view, and so that's important to me and to Merdekarya as a venue as well.
And do you think that the changes in the political scene also affects the music scene? Is there a relation there?
I think what's happening now, to be fair, it's always happened. There's been a clampdown on dissent, and a clampdown on the avenues of dissent, and just a general sort of control over whatever mediums we can control, and so of course that affects the musicians, and it affects all artists, because even if you say, well, it doesn't actually affect me because I don't write political songs, I write love songs or something like that, but it does though, because all these laws, all these restrictions govern the avenues that would get your love song out there. So you can't say that it doesn't affect you, because it actually directly affects you. It directly affects all the avenues that you would otherwise have to get your art out there. And so people in the arts are directly affected by all these.
Okay, so we're almost at the end of our segment. I just want to ask you if you have any message for our listeners out there, or the way forward for the local musicians and what they can do.
I'm not a fan of dispensing generic advice.
Okay.
It's like, but I think that what we need to do, I think, is we need to really sort of think about things and how things affect us, because they're not so obvious in some ways. Like I was explaining about legislation, people will say, well, I just write love songs, doesn't affect me, but it does. And so we need to think deep about the issues that affect us, particularly in Malaysia, because we have a very unique system and that governs us. And you can't just share an article you read on Facebook or some or Twitter or whatever and say, well, hey, look at this innovative new idea from America, or look what Britain's doing, or look what America's doing, or Sweden's doing, because there's a chance that won't be applicable to us, and we need to find our own solutions to a very specific set of problems that we have.
Thank you very much, Brian, for
Thank you,
joining us today. It was a very interesting discussion. Durian ASEAN is your #1 radio station for anything and everything concerning ASEAN. Since Malaysia is the chairman of ASEAN 2015, that makes it even more important for us to know the significance of ASEAN. Our daily breakfast show, the ASEAN Breakfast Call, is dedicated to raising awareness on ASEAN. Let's go through our breakfast show.
ASEAN Daily happens every Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock in the morning, with at least 3 cups of coffee. We discuss, critique, and provide a concise background to the issues that are discussed. Want to know what's brewing it in ASEAN? Tune into ASEAN Daily.
Monday Morning Matters is solely dedicated to ASEAN issues. Want to know more about the 10 member states? What is the AEC? What is its aim and purposes? We have all the answers for you.
The Durian Heat runs from Tuesday to Thursday at 9 a.m. We analyze hot relevant topics concerning Malaysia or Southeast Asia. We also do invite some experts and drill them on the matter, leaving no stone unturned. Topics range from politics, economic, business, and other important areas.
Anything can happen Friday. ASEAN is rich in art, history, tradition, and culture. So we explore the social-cultural part of Southeast Asia. Expect to hear from musicians, theatre practitioners, fashion designers, and lifestyle experts providing their insights on the topic. To listen to all our programs, just log on to www.durianasean.com. You can download the TuneIn app on your smartphone. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel.